Baruchim Aboim B'Shem Hashem. B'Shem Irgun Shir, I'd like to welcome everyone to today's shir from Rabbi Yakov's Mishlita on Dine Aina Amein al Birchas Atzmai. When Amein should not be said, or should be said. I'd like to give a shakach to Mishpachas Ruby for sponsoring today's shir in the Nishmas Yechanan Olav Shalom by Rabbi Yecheskel Ben Yamin Ruby al Meves from Shana. Then supposed to Chaim, the outside was Friday Yud Sivan. So I was going to discuss the sponsoring shir, call Irgun Shir 718-851-8651, email ist@yeshivanet.com. Rav Smith.
Someone recently asked me an interesting shaila. He says Negaya every single day, and he's probably right. When he finishes Baruch Shem Melech Nulabat Tishbachais, and often it's together or right before the Shliach Tziba does. And he wants to know if he has to answer Amein. Why not? He heard Epis that if you finish together with the Shliach Tziba, you can't answer Amein because you answer Amein to your own bracha, because you finish the same time. So the truth is Negeya to Baruch Shama, Yishtabach, Hallel, and as we'll see many other shilas. I looked into the sugya, I never even dreamt it would be a sugya for a shir, and I realized this is like what you call a meis mitzvah sugya, a beautiful sugya with rishonim, like the whole geshmak of a sugya. It's Negeya in countless situations, and it's kamat never learned. So I would like to try today to learn this sugya. Hopefully we'll have a clarkite. To appreciate the sugya, we have to have a little of Magdama. Amein is definitely a lot more than a three-letter word. Amein, as the Medrash says in the beginning of Kisavai, Ein Gadol of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yosim Amein She Yisrael Oynu. In a certain sense, it gives the Baruch an extraordinary nachas more than anything else. And that's probably why we could understand a different halacha. You know, people bring a child to shul even at a young age. So it's the old question: what's the mila? To get the child to get candy, or to let the wife sleep late? You know, Shabbos morning, you want to be a good husband. It's none of the above. It's definitely based on a Gemara in Sanhedrin of Kuf Yud. Kat me'emesay ba la'olam haba. And more quotes a pasuk: Pischu she'arim v'yavei goy tzadik Shomer amunam al tikrei Shomer amunam ela she'omer amein. A child, a person's ticket to get Olam haba is Amein, and Takadar Ramah and Kuf Chav Dalet Zayin quotes it. He says, don't forget to teach your children to say Amein, because when a child says Amein, or any adult, that's the ticket to Olam haba. But it's more than that. It's more than just the schar of Yenevel. It's the integral part of Amein for us in every bracha. The Gemara says in brachas, Dafim Gimel Amud Beis, God la'oina Amein yosim and amavarich. Now, right away, it's a pliya. I make a bracha, you say Amein, and Amein is even bigger. What is the pshat? So one of the pshatim is the famous words of Rabbeinu Bachai in Parshas B'Shalach Yudalad Lamed Aleph. And Rabbeinu Bachai says the Yesod, that really the Amuna is the Yesod of our Yiddishkeit, the Yesod of Kol Torah Kula, and Chazal wanted to get Amuna into our daily living. And in Zokter Beinu Bachai, that when you say Amein, Amein comes from the word Amuna. Amein is also an expression of our Amuna. And he says, just like we understand the Mar Shvuas Taf Lamed Vav, Amein, Kabbalah, Amein, Shvua, when a person says Amein to something, it's like he made a Shvua. Amein, Zokter Beinu Yoina, is the kiyum of what was just said. And then Zokter Beinu Bachai, he said the Ptava Nifla. This is the Pshat in the Gemara. Oyna Amein Yosim and Amavarich. Why? Zokter Beinu Bachai. Because when someone makes a bracha, Shakol Niya B'Dvari, he just made a very amazing statement that the entire world was created B'Dvar Hashem. But the problem is he's only one aid. Al Pishnei Ein Yakum Dava. Zokter Beinu Bachai. The one that says Amein is really the completion, the ashlama of the bracha. Because one aid is insufficient. Saying Amein, you're being mechazik the Mavarich's bracha. So that's why, in a certain sense, the Amein certifies the bracha that was said. You know, I give a mashal, a person has to work hard to get a passport or whatever he needs a legal document. But without if it's not notarized, if it's not, doesn't have that official stamp, if it's not certified, it's valueless. Rabbeinu Bachai is saying that the Amein's completion, the ashlama of the bracha is by saying Amein. Now the emes is that the Zoya in Parshas Eikev says, in fact, to the extent that a bracha is a plag gufa until you have an Amein. Now Lamaisa, there are many people that are makbid that they won't say a bracha until there's someone listening to say Amein. It's coming from this. It's a famous story about Shadran used to say over. Chaim Volozhin once woke up in the middle of the night and he was extremely thirsty. He couldn't fall asleep without because he's so thirsty. But his minhag was to always saying Amein, to have someone say Amein, but it's the middle of the night. But he knew that Lamaisa in Volozhin Yeshiva there's always someone learning 24/7. That was the minhag. They always had mishmaris. But for him to go to Beis Medrash and Mevatel Bacham learning just for his personal need for Amein, he felt he couldn't do it. Just then there's a knock on the door, and one of the Brachim came, wanted to ask the Rashiva Shaila. So Rabbi Chaim Volozhin answered him and thanked him. He said, but by the way, please, if you hear anyhow, stay, I'll say a bracha, you could say Amein, I appreciate it. Brach said, certainly. The next day he felt so makitayt to the Bach, he went over to him in person, I want to thank you for last night's visit, it meant so much to me. The Rashiva, I know what you're talking about. I didn't go visit anybody, I was sleeping all night. But, I'm telling you. So Shalom said, obviously, Rabbi Chaim Volozhin was Zaycha to Gil Eliyahu. But the question, he said, is, who was that Bacha? So that's a Shayla Tzarchin. But the story has a very powerful message that Rabbi Chaim Volozhin, Alfim Ajay had this minhag, and he would not relent, he would not make a bracha without an Amein. Now, the rest of us, I don't think most of us are makbid in this, but no doubt about it, the bracha is important, but the Amein is the completion. And we'll see today, this is an extremely important Akdama to our Sugya. Now let me explain. This explains an halacha that is Ramah and Kuf Samach Zayin Beis. I think many people never heard of it, but whether you heard of it or not, it definitely gives us a better understanding of the Sugya. Let's talk about a simple case, me and you. I say Kiddush, and I might use my guff, okay? So what's the procedure? I make the bracha loud, and I'm having in mind to might see you. And as we'll soon see, the Shemeya is supposed to say Amein. It's not Ma'akiv, but Lamais is supposed to say Amein. Zokti Ramah, quoting Arzaruah, the story is not finished when the Shemeya says Amein. Zokti Ramah, the Shemeya says Amein, and the one that made the bracha should have a mind, to me, I have to have a mind to be yaitza with your Amein. In other words, I made the bracha, you say Amein, but it's not finished. I have to listen to your Amein and be yaitz with your Amein. Why? For us it's Gishmak. Because the Maisa, the completion of the bracha, the Eight Sheni, is the Amein. And that's pshat in the Ramah, v'yechavnu l'Amein she'oimim, zok the Yishtabrua Sivkat and Chav, because Amein is part of the bracha. It's not just part of the listener's obligation, it's part of me as the Mavarech to get the Amein. Now, Lamaisa, the Bialach has a certain problem with this, your understanding we'll soon see, but Lamaisa, the Ramah does say this, that we see the message of this Ramah, that the Amein is the completion of the bracha that was said. A lot more than a three-letter word. But there's another halacha, which we'll also understand a little better now. And that is, again, same story. I make Kiddush, and you listen. So the Shulchan Aruch in two places infers, in Kuf Samach Zayin Beis, a little later, in Beis Shud Gimel Beis, he says, but when you listen, and you yaitzu Shemeya Ka'oina, it's a chatchila, make sure to say Amein. Now, Yishtabrua says in both places, if you didn't say Amein, you yaitzu anyhow. But l'chatchila, it's more than just listening. Now you think about it, it's hard to understand. Why is that? If I listen, and I was yaitze by listening, why do I have to say Amein? But the teretz of the Yishtabrua, because the Amein is the completion of the bracha. So if I listen, I heard it, good. But the Amein that I should say is to complete the bracha. And of course it also makes a connection. Listening is one medium, but when I say Amein, I also connect with you. So we see again that Lamaisa, the Amein, is not just a three-letter word. Besides the fact that it's Kel Melachnema, if you have the ability to understand it, I didn't. But look at the same Rabbeinu Bachai, after the same shtickle, after he explains the importance of Amein, he goes on to Al-Pikabala with Dvar Mefloyim, that which I don't understand, but Yaisi Mashe Kreis Lefnechem Ksufka. This explains a different halacha that's negeya in countless situations. we say Amein, and we say it with great kavanah. What kavanah are we supposed to have? So if you look at the brachas that we hear or say, there are basically two different types of brachas. There's the berachas hanenin, berachas haydah. I hear a shakali matvari, and the understanding is someone just said Amein, and someone just made a bracha, and I say Amein. What does it mean when I say Amein shakali matvari? Zok the Yishtebach in Kuf Chav Dal Siv Katan Vav. B'kavana shechaven b'libay emesu habracha shebirch hamavarech v'ani maimen b'zeh. Again, it's a very powerful statement. It's a statement of Amuna. He said shakol niya b'dvarim, and I agreed, and I believe in it. Keil melech nema. So the Amein certifies or validates the bracha that was said. So basically the Amein is, I believe in it, and it's true. But there's a different type of bracha. Let's say the bracha Rafa'enu. We just heard David this morning. Baruch Atah Hashem. The Chazan said, Raifei Choyle Ama Yisrael. So the Yishtebach and Siv Katan Chaf Hey. Wait a minute. There's probably two meanings. First of all, I believe that the Rebbeinu Shalom is the Raifei Choyle Ama Yisrael, which is enough of a reason to say Amen. But since it's a tefillah, someone's begging, he's crying out his heart, the Rebbeinu Shalom is the Raifei Choyle Ama Yisrael, the whole tefillah that the Rebbeinu Shalom heals us. Zok the Yishtebach, besides MS, also it's a tefillah that I say Amen halavai that the tefillah should be niskabel. And as Berchamiv writes in Keser Rosh Chafei, Amen lechavan apirish halavai sheyiyakei. So when you have a shevach vayda, the meaning is amuna, true. If you have a bracha of tefillah, there are two meanings. Number one, the same emuna, the same kabbalah's hadvar, and number two, it's a tefillah halabai the Rebbeinu we should see b'chush Rafa'enu Hashem b'nei Rafi. Now this is not stam gezuk. The Yishtebach in Samach Al Siv Katan Chaf Kes quotes a prima godim that it's so much of a different meaning that the person that hears these type of brachas of tefillah has the prerogative of saying two Ameins. Amein that it's true, Amein halavai. I guess he means you're supposed to say Amein v'Amein. Baruch Hashem la'olam, Amein v'Amein. Now I don't think that's done, but l'maisa we have to have the kishrei. When we say Amein on birchais tefillah, primarily chazaras hashat, Amein means it's true, and also Amein means halavai. Now this, a little introduction, also explains the severity of what we're going to call a pasla Amein. What's that, a pasla Amein? So we know the Gemara in Brachis, the Shulchan Aruch Kuf Chav Dalet Ches, has various expressions halacha l'maisa of a pasla Amein. Amein Yisayma. I'm walking by a shul and I say Amein, and they say Amein. Now what am I saying on? I have no idea. But if they're saying it, I'm saying it. It's Amein Yisayma. You know why? Amein is so powerful. Keil melech neman, amuna. What do you trust? What do you believe? What are you saying? You're certifying what? You're taking a holy word, a heilige word that has such meaning, and you're just saying it in vain. Just like there's a bracha of atala, so Amein, Gal Ayin Amein Yais Min Avarech, there's an Amein Levatala. The Gemara calls it Amein Yisayim. Rather than I tell you what the Gemara says, but Chas v'Shalom, Bon of Yisayim. But the point is, it's not just a three-letter word, Mechatesa. It's either powerful, or Chas v'Shalom, backfires. Another example I'm going to soon use is when I said Amein, but a little too late. The Mavarech finished the bracha, and I got around to it, I said Amein. Once it's Acha Kedei Dibor, then again the main is abused, it's misused. And it's not just a simple word, it's a powerful word with powerful meaning, and like everything else in Ruchnis, potential can turn sour, and it's really sour. So the Yisoid, Amein Yisoima, Amein Katufa, which is not for now, but basically, if it has such meaning, it has such potential to backfire. Now let's talk Tachas of our Shaila, and let's see the beauty of this sugya. Let's say I finish saying a bracha. I'm home alone, there's no one there, I'm not Berchamiv, I don't get Gil Elio. Shakol Niya B'dvar. Is there anything wrong with me saying Amein? Because after all, Lamaisa, the Amein is the Hashlama, the Eicheni, all the whole thing we said now, why can I say Amein to my own bracha? But now the Kash is stronger. Because we just saw a Ramah B'Shem Or Zarua, that when I say a bracha and you say Amein, I should be yoitz with your Amein. So we see the Amein is pretty important to get. So let's say there's no one there to say Amein. Can I say Amein to my own bracha? You'll say, this doesn't sound right. So tell me why not. And rather it's a Beferish Gemara. Tani Chad, the Gemara, the end of brachas, the end of Daf Memhei Amid Beis. Ha'oina Amein achar b'choisav harezeh meshubach. Praiseworthy. Why not? If you look at the Rashba on that Gemara, he says Pashit, because Kivan the Gamalei b'chasei v'amar Amein mikabel u'mehemen bei, and then he says v'kra nami Messiah. Look at the Rashba and Egen Chiddush. You know what the Makar is saying Amein to your own bracha? Baruch Hashem la'olam Amein v'Amein. It's an ayah remes. But Lamaisa, the concept of saying Amein to our bracha is rooted in the Gemara that calls it Meshubach. But as you all know, because you give me a dirty look, what am I saying? The same Gemara says V'tani idach harezeh Miguna. It's not only it's not praiseworthy, it's disgraceful. Good night. So how do we reconcile? This is the Gemara's cash. Should I say Amein l'chatchila, or am I Meshubach or Miguna? Zog the Gemara like kasha. Haba b'nei Yushalayim. When is it Meshubach to say Amein? By the end of the first three brachas of benching, we'll soon see, which we all know. Bone bracha, Nor does not use the word bracha here. Bone Yushalayim, Amein. That's good. Ha b'shar brachas. Every other bracha is Meguna. Not only it's not advisable, not only it's Meshubach, it's Meguna. Now, Lamaisa, the Amein in benching is familiar to us, but we do need a hezbah. What about every other bracha? What's in between? The Gemara speaks about benching and shar brachas. What does shar brachas include? So Tosfos there says, Poi chazim ayam adabar. Look at minhag olam. The only bracha that we say Amein to is benching. Nothing else. Oh, very nice. That's Tosfos. But you look at Roiv Rishayim, and I'm not Megazim. Roiv Rishayim, beginning from Rashi, the Rosh, Amein the Yoina. Roiv Rishayim, they say it's not true. They say there are specific brachas that we're supposed to say Amein. For example, let's look at Rashi. Rashi's our Rebbe. Bone Yishalayim sisay brachas harezeh meshubach v'chein b'chol birchas krishma shel shachris v'arvis. According to Rashi, when you say, believe it or not, Gal Yisrael, before you start Shemoneh Esrei, you say Amein. It's the end of birchas krishma. Hashem Am Yisrael Lo'ad, you say Amein. Now you might have seen this by minhag Achenu Asfardim. That's their minhag. Shema Yisrael La'ad, Amein. Both Yachid and Tzibur, and the Shliach Tzibur. That's Rashi. Tosfos also has his list. We'll soon see other Rishonim. So now we have a lot of explaining to do. First of all, if it's Meshubach, why is it Meguna? And what makes something Meshubach versus Meguna? And why does Tosfos say the minhag is only benching? So this is the beauty of the sugya, because you have to first understand why Taka is it Meguna. What's wrong? If you don't like it, so why is it Meguna? So the Rosh in Brachas Perek Zayin, Siman Yud, quotes Rishonim, the Bahag. This is very poshut. Imagine someone says Baruch Atah Hashem shehakil ni b'dvarei Amein, and then he eats the food. It's a hefsek. So when you make a Amein between the bracha and the mitzvah or the hana, so the Bhagavad is Meguna. You're taking a valid bracha and you're passing it. So according to the Rosh, the only time it's Meguna is if there's a problem of hefsek, which could include Bechas HaMitzvah, Al Tila Zulav, Amein, and you shake it. Oh, you just ruined the bracha. Shakni Bavarei, Amein, you ruined it. But let's say Bechas HaShacha, Bechas Tefillah, where it's not Birchas Hanen, it's not Birchas HaMitzvah, it should be, you could say Amein. And that's the truth. Like the Rosh, on most brachas, if there's no Chashash Hefsek, you're allowed to say Amein. However, the Talmid Rabbeinu Yoina on this Gemara has a very different shot, and he basically says that when a person is in the middle of brachas, a series of brachas, don't say Amein yet because he didn't finish. But once you finished, and I underline the word, a series of brachas, and we'll soon see even two or more is enough to make it a series. So you finished that group of brachas, it's appropriate meshubach to say Amein. Zok Rabbeinu Yoina. Therefore, when you finish a series of bracha, lemashal acha go'al Yisrael, that's the siyum of birchas krishma, and there's no problem of hefsek, we'll soon see. Therefore, you do say Amein. Now then Ben Yoina quotes the Rambam in Hilchos Brachos Aleph Tezayin that has to be a series of 2 or more. And therefore he says, by Ma'ariv, Shema Yisrael Lo'ad, after Krishma there are 2 brachas, Goal Yisrael, Shema Yisrael Lo'ad, you all say Amein. So now we're getting a picture from Ben Yoina that you're allowed to say Amein to any bracha that's the end of a series of 2 or more brachas. Again, we'll soon see the clarity of this. How about Haboicha B'Ama Yisrael B'Yahava before Krishma? So that's pretty good. It's promising because it's a series of 2. So that's the Shaila. If you hold Haboicha B'Ama Yisrael B'Yahava is a bracha on the Krishma, so we're back to the Amaratzis of saying Amein on the bracha before the mitzvah. So that's a problem. Okay, so that we'll soon see. But the Yisod Ben Yoina says is a series of 2 brachas or more, and you wait till the series is completed. That's Meshubach. If you stop after the first, let the man finish. We're looking at a group of brachas as 1 bracha. But Lamais, there's still something obviously missing. What is the minhag ha'olam of Ashkenazim, which Taisuf was made? The Ramah quotes it, only on Bone Berach Mishlayim Amein. Why not Shema Yisrael Lo'ad? Why not do like the Sfardim do on a daily basis? You finish Manesra, and Baruch Shema Yisrael B'Shalom Amein. 19 brachas is a pretty nice series. So there has to be something missing. So this is the Chiddush of today. The Bir Agra in Siman Nun Aleph, Sivkat and Aleph, basically asked this question, and he says that you know what the problem with saying Amein to your own bracha is? Very simple, and we can appreciate this. You need someone to certify your bracha. You don't need Eid Sheni. Rabbi, you can't be an aid to your own bracha. I need someone else. You can't have one aid twice. So he's learning it very literally. It's a Kabbalah, it's a certification of my bracha. But I can't say it. I said it and I'm certifying it. I'm still one aid. The Levush says it even sharper. And Levush is a Reish Tezvav Sif Beis, Sikot and Beis. It's not miderech hamusa that a person says something and says, oh, good gizabt. It's like the person davens to the Amid, turns around and says, git gedaven, fein gedaven, great, shkoyach. And something missing, right? And the Aruch HaShulchan says it even sharper. He says, Amein means the bracha is validated and I'm going to cause a tremendous hashpah. So if someone else says Amein to my bracha, that's appropriate. But if I say Amein to my own bracha, I'm saying, oh, my bracha was perfect, you're going to see the hashpah. It's like someone that makes a speech and he starts applauding loudly when he finishes. It's just inappropriate. So whether you use a lashon not derech hamusa, it's inappropriate. The Gra says b'chlal doesn't make sense. But the point is, this gives beauty to the sugya. These get 3 gedolei achrayim hold. The problem is you need someone else, not you. So now we have a different question. Why is Bone Berach Mishlayim Amein? Why is it Meshubach? So guess what? It's nothing to do with saying Amein in your own bracha. Why do we say Amein between Bone and the 4th bracha? Remember the Gemara in brachas? To differentiate between the rice and the bונה. So it's not really saying Amein on my bracha. I'm trying to tell you that the benching finished and now it's the rabbanon. What's the nafkamina? Gemara explains, because a worker in those days was when you would stop benching after Bnei Berachma, because once you finish the Raisa, go back to work. And not that Chas V'Shalom, the 4th bracha is unimportant, but the Sosav and the Satya Bemuna, Yenev's Pruta, Erlich Gelt, is so compromising that you can't just bench weiter. In those days, they really felt the Erlichkeit in business. So we have to tell the workers, okay, we finished benching, go back to work. So it has nothing to do with saying Amein. Bnei Yishalayim is a special chiddush regarding benching. And listen to how lachal amaisa, because we have a machlokes of main reason. What's the main reason? So the Machab in Siman Nun Aleph Siv Gimel says when you finish Yishtabach, Yochid or Shatz, Yesh Leilanos Amein Acha Birchas Atzmai. Zok Taz, because Yishtabach is the end of the series of Psukat Zimra. Start with Baruch She'amar and then Yishtabach. In Shulchan Aruch Reish Tezvav Aleph, the Machab again says to make a bracha, Amein, on your own bracha of Hala. The end of Melech Mumatish Brachas, and it's very pashut, because Hala also 2 brachas. So you look in the Beis Yosef in both places, and he explains that he preferred the Shita of the Bnei Yoina, this middle shita that it's not because of hefsek, it's because a series of 2 or more brachas. However, the Ramah in Reish Tezvav Aleph, v'yesh oimim she'ein oina amein rak acha birchais hamazay b'nei shalayim v'chein minhag pasha medinas elu v'ein l'shanois. Zok the Taz and Magen Avraham Yishtabura quotes them. Later Ramah, we never say amein to our bracha, period. Inappropriate. It's almost like a mechzik yura. Benching is totally different reason. Benching is the signal, it's the end of the deraisas, and now starts the rabbanos. So the Maisa, the Ramah is based on Tosfos. The Mechaba, and we'll soon see the minhag of Sfardim is very different than ours, is any amein of a siyam of a series of brachas. So the Mechaba went to Rabbeinu Yoina, Ramah went with Tosfos. Very good. Now let's apply this to Maisa. So I want to start with halachas negeya on a daily basis, and we'll see how everything has to be oiskeches. The Mechaba in Kuf Peiches Aleph, Acha Shechasam Bayin Yishalayim, Yana Amein, Acha Birchas Atzmai, Mipnei Shusiyam Brachais Deraisa. Now Toiva Meited Einoi Midaraisa. Now this is interesting. The Mechaba is saying, you say Amein to bench, so far so good. What should be his reason? The reason should be because a series, right? Deraisa. He doesn't say that. Why does he say this? Because the Maisa both are true. What's the nafkamina? Nafkamina is, like the Gemara says, if the reason why you're saying the bracha, the amein on the bracha is to signal the Raisa versus the Rabbanon, so say the amein quietly. You don't want to broadcast, you don't want to advertise that the rest of benching is just the Rabbanon. So say it quietly. And the Mechaba holds that we say the bracha, the amein on Bnei Yishalayim, finish, quietly, you say amein. However, the Ramah goes with Tosfos, and this is the only time to say Amein, according to Ashkenazim, and we say Amein to the bracha of Bnei Yishalayim. Now, the question is, what about us? Why do we say Amein loudly? The Mechaber Tzvi Bey says, you say the Amein quietly. Amein zeh Amein balachash. Kadesh le'yagishu shebechsatoy Ameitim einim with the Reis v'zalzlu ba. And no one wants to risk being mezalzel with the Rabbanon, Chavim and Divrei Seifrim. And Chazal are very protective of the Rabbanons. So you look at the Lamaisa, the Ramah, says it's Eigen Chiddush. Benira, the Dafka, when is there a problem of zilzul? When you're benching alone, you don't say amein to anything, all of a sudden, by Buna, you say amein quite loudly. What's going on here? Oh, the rest of the benching is not so important. That's zilzul. But let's see a benching with a zimun, and you're benching the way you're supposed to. That the mazaman leads the brachas, otherwise amein, amein, amein. There's so many ameins till now, so we're not going to think it's a zilzul. We'll think the mazaman makes the bracha, and we say amein. As I state in Ramah's Eigen Chiddush, and therefore he said the minhag is you say the amein out loud. Lamaisa, Yishtebach, and Sivkot and Beis has another suggestion why you're allowed to say it out loud, because today the Payalim don't go back to work after Bainim. They continue benching. So even if you say it out loud, there's no problem of zilzul. But Eich Sheyeh, I want to tell you that the minhag of Sfardim is to say Amein quietly. The minhag of most Ashkenazim, I should say, is to say it out loud. There are Chashulchan in the end of Siv Gimel, he quotes this Ramah, he says, but Lamaisa, why don't we do it right? The Gemara says do it quietly, and he insists to do it quietly. The Shulchan Ator in Siv Beis, Amein zeh yemena balachash, and I saw that the Bach is somewhat, makes a compromise. He says, say a little lower than the regular Ameins. I guess to show that it's different. It's like some people do by Gal Yisrael. The Shtech Siva doesn't just, blank out and doesn't say it. To say it loud, you might say Amein. You say it a little lower to show that it's different. But Lamaisa, it's interesting that everything stems. For us, it's saying Amein on a Siyam HaBracha. That's why when you're benching at home, a B'yichidis, without Zimun, you say Amein once. When you Zoycha to bench with the Zimun, you will say Amein twice. On your own bracha, Bnei Yishalayim, Amein. Then when the Mezaman says it, if it's Achgedei Dibor, you have another treat, another Amein. Now, another point the Mishnah points out in Sivkot and Gimel, quoting Prima Godim, some people make a mistake and they say, for some reason, they say it together. Bnei Brach Shayim Amein, B'neshima Achas. Now, this is not a Seres B'nei Homa. as no shaykhs. Bone brachma b'shlayim, pause, you finish the bracha, and then Amein. So you're not supposed to say it right away, you're supposed to pause and say Amein. Le'idach gisa, which I think is important to mention, which doesn't say it, but it's pashit, don't pause too long. You could only say Amein to a bracha toich kedei dibur. What does toich kedei dibur mean? So the Velt says 2 or 3 seconds. I'm not sure what that means. I don't think that's even correct. What does toich kedei dibur mean? Yishtebach in most places writes 3 words. Shamal lecha Rabbi, in one place he writes Rabbi Moim, but I think the Maskana Mishmur holds 3 words. How long does it take a person to say 3 words? Chavetz Chaim writes a person can say 200 words per minute. So you make the calculations, 3 words is less than a second. So maybe a second. But to say it's 2 or 3 seconds, I think is wrong. So you finish Bone bracha shalayim, pause less than a second, and say Amein, and you did it perfectly. That's the Chayr Pasha. Now, this is the simple halacha when you're benching regular. Now, since it's the camp season, the camp is coming, day camps, so by camp they bench and they sing, Bone bracha shalayim, Amein. So you have to make them very clear. Yishtebach in Kuf Chav Daled Laman Hey discusses that the shots or the mezamen should not stretch the last word, because once the word was chal, you're supposed to say Amein. So you really should say is Bone bracha shalayim and finish the word shalayim. Amein, you could say slowly. Get every last bit of its kedusha. Amein. That is, it's better sing the Amein than sing the word Yishalayim, because the Maisa you might make throw them off guard, and they might be saying it after the Kedei Diba. Next question for us is challenging. Let's go back a second. Let's talk about the same exact case. I said Kiddush, and I was might see you. So we said the procedure is I make the Kiddush, you say Amein, okay? And there are more quotes, I should listen to your Amein and be yaitz with your Amein. Now we have to reconsider. Because just like when I said Boyer Priyagofen, it's Meguna for me to say Amein, because you don't certify your own statement. So why should I connect with you? Why should I listen to your Amein? I'm saying Amein on my own Kiddush. I'm not saying it, I'm being yaitz with Shemei Ka'oina. So once you say I can't say Amein, why should I listen? So the Ramah's halacha doesn't seem to make sense. And indeed, the Halacha asked this question. It is, if I can't say it, why should it be Yoch Shemei Kohen? Shemei Kohen is not a joke. So maybe we'll say Zil Basa Taima, because Lamaisa, what's the reason why it's Meguna? The first reason, the Rosh, hefsek. So if I say Amein my own bracha, it's a hefsek. But if I listen to your Amein, there's no hefsek. Shemei Ka'oina doesn't risk a hefsek problem. I could listen to Kedusha during my Shemay Esra, I'm Shemei Ka'oina, but it's not a hefsek. So like the Rosh is no problem. Like the Bein Yaina, also no problem, because the Ma'is, it's a series of brachas. The only question is like the Gra, the Lavush, our Chashulchan, that is inappropriate, derech hamusa. So then we have to understand, maybe it's only inappropriate if I say it. If I listen to you say it, first of all, no one sees what I'm thinking. No one sees me connecting with you. And it seems that's why the Ramah is mechayet to listen to someone else. Taka me to say Amein on my own bracha is wrong. I can't. But Zil Basa Taima, all 3 reasons don't apply. So, Lamaisa, this is what the Paiskim say, as long as you don't say it yourself, you should listen to someone else say it, and be yaitza with his Amen. This is Lamaisa, the halacha, the hezbollah of the Ramah. The next question is also a question, believe it or not. Let's say I make Kiddush, same story, you hear my Kiddush. So you're very good, you're Shemei Ka'oina. Do you say Amen? Father, there's halacha, right? We said twice in Shulchan Aruch that the Shemei Ka'oina should say Amen. But here's the Shaila. Since you listened, and you have Shemei Ka'oina is like you said it, now you're taking the liberty of saying Amen? Now this is worse than the previous case. You're listening, a very good listener, Shemei Ka'oina, you get a check plus, and you're saying Amen? Why are you saying Amen to your own bracha? So if you have Torah glasses, Shemei Ka'oina is not a joke. So the listener just said Shakol Nibadvarim, and then he proudly says Amen. So you're applauding to your own speech. So this is a good question. So maybe the only teretz has to be that Zil Basa Taima. Because why am I saying Amen? I'm not saying Amein because I'm applauding my own bracha. I didn't say the bracha. I want to connect with you. Mr. Brewer explains, when I say Amein, I connect with the mashmiya, with the mavarich. So maybe that's the cheshbon. Maybe you'll say, I know what. You only say Amein shemeikaina on a bracha. There's no hefsek. L'mashal zoyasani goy for some reason. If you yoytza, but it's not true, because they're most talking about that when you hear the Amein amoitzi bracha, you yoytza and say Amein. So we have to understand why isn't Miguna. So the teretz has to be one of two pshatim. Either, like I told you, you're not saying it to applaud your own listening, you're saying to connect with the mashmiya, with the mekadesh, and that's not Miguna. Or else we will say that when is it bechlal a problem if I actually physically said it. If I say a bracha, I can't say Amein. But if you said it and I was yoytza, although shemei kohen is a valid currency, but if you didn't say it, it doesn't have that Miguna, feel to it. If you didn't say it, it's not Miguna to listen. And then I found a treat, mamish, I think it's a treat, the Shulchan Aruch and Kuf Chav Dal Tzif Vav says the following: if someone, for whatever reason, cannot daven Shemona Esrei, so he should listen attentively to the Shliach Tzibah saying each bracha, and the Yana Amein on each bracha. Yeah, someone can't talk. He lost his voice. Whatever the reason, he can't talk. So he listened to the Shliach Tzibah saying bracha shatz and his yoytza. Zok the Levush, Mr. Brewer quotes him. You've been yoytza with the Shliach Tzibah's Reifach Am Yisrael, and you're saying Amein. What about Meguna? You've been yoytza this bracha and you're saying Amein, Meguna. Zok the Levush. There's no problem with saying Amein because you didn't say the brachas. So the Bush already says, when is there a problem of Maguna if I said a bracha and I Amein to my bracha? But if I listen to you say it, although Shemei Kohen is a valid currency, I'm allowed to say Amein to what I heard. And again, the svara is, I'm connecting to you, and that's why I'm saying it. So this is the halacha, those two halachas. Now let me tell you a ma'aseh shahaya. It's a true story. Okay, it was one of these Monday, very busy rush hour davening Monday, and the Balkar got an aliyah, and he guessed he wasn't used to it, so he finished nice and a Torah, and he boomed out Amein, and people started laughing first. That was one problem, and then no one knew what to do, because presumably if he said Amein to his own bracha, it's a hefsek. This is between a berachas mitzvah and the mitzvah. Now, the Monday morning rush hour, if the Balkar sneezes, already getting into trouble. No. Because no, what do you do? And no one knew what to do. Do you have to repeat the bracha again? There's an Amein, is the hefsek between the berachas mitzvah and the mitzvah. So the ma'isa, here we come to an important point of our sugya. Now, I'll ask you a question. It's not so simple. If I say shakol niya b'dvarim, and wrongly so, I said Amein, do I have to make another bracha? You might say, well, of course you have to make another bracha. You should mafsik. We have to get better and say Amein. But then again, the Gemara says, I raise a Meguna. Meguna means it's inappropriate. It's disgraceful. But had it been a hefsek, talk tachlis, hefsek. Isn't that the biggest gnai that it's hefsek? And however, this might be totally in our reasons. Like the first reason of the Rosh, Zil Basatayma. The problem is hefsek. No, hefsek means it passes the bracha. But if the reasons are Bein Yoina, it's just a series, I don't know. Like the Gra and Hivasiyatoi is Gnai, is something Derech HaMusa makes it a bracha v'atola. Vezod. So listen what I found, and I found this very perplexing. The El Yerabba in Kuf Samach Zayin, Siv Kot and Zayin, quotes a Bahag, Im One Amein Basa Nafshe, Havi Dvorim B'Telim. Stam deployed it. It wasn't meritorious, it was deployed it. Zogte Prima Godim, in an Aleph Siv Kot and Gimel, Meguna means that Lamaisa, you did the wrong thing. But Zogte Prima Godim. But if you said Amein between a berachas ha-mitzvah, or berachas and the hana, or the mitzvah, then not only is it Meguna, but then you have to repeat the bracha. So the Prima Godim takes the words Dvarm B'Telim, literally, that it's worthless, and therefore it's extraneous words, and it's a hefsek. And the Yishtbach in Reish Tezvav, Sif Katan Aleph, quotes this lalacha. So now we see, if someone says Amein between a bracha and the achila or a mitzvah, it's b'diavad pasul, and you have to repeat the bracha. Now, had this been finished, okay. But then I saw the Imre Yosha, Chelik Beis, Siman Kuf Nun Tes, that Kuf Lamed Tes, I'm sorry, he has a shayla about someone during Shemon Esrei says Heilig B'Shefa, he says Yiddish words. He says it's not a problem because it's Sarech Tefillah. But then he's Gedoyle Mazuma Tzasi in the Meiri in Mugona voice that if someone says Amein al Birchas Atzmai, Kegoyim, makes it very blunt. Shakol Nia B'Dvari Amein, Oyafilu Amba B'Feirish Keil Melech Neman. He's a very interesting fellow. Shakol Nia B'Dvari Keil Melech Neman. Loi Havi hefsek, Kivim Chazek Kiyam HaBracha. Don't forget, it's not extraneous words. You didn't stop say a word. You're trying to be mechazik your bracha. But it's not a b'diavad. B'diavad is not a hefsek. Then he said, I found the El Yerabba that says it's a hefsek, and he didn't mention the miriam. So the Imre Yoisha, Imre Yarik, holds that if you make a Amein on your own bracha, a birchas hanen or mitzvah, it's not a hefsek b'diavad. The Torah's Chaim Seif, Kuf Samach Zayin Yud Aleph, the Kavachayim in Sivkatan Samach Aleph, all say the same maskana. The Loike El Yerabba, Prima Godim, and Mishnah. Now this is a Paisik's dilemma, because we know the Mishnah is our Paisik, L'chayra, it should be a hefsek. But let me tell you something. If I say Shakol, Amoitz Lechem and Aretz, and then I say Havei Melech, before I ate, is it a hefsek? No. Why not? Tzairach. Okay. Let's say I say Amoitz Lechem and Aretz, and I answer Kedusha. Heilig Kedusha, they're Isa. But it's a hefsek. What's the chilik? Because bringing salt is a tzarech of the bracha. Saying Kedusha is a tzarech of my neshama, but not a tzarech of the bracha. Which category would you put saying Amein to my own bracha? I think it goes in the category number one. It's like Havei Melech. It's a tzarech of the bracha. It certifies, it re-emphasizes my bracha. So I could understand where the Meiri and the Meiri are coming from. It's enough of a tzarech, it wouldn't be a hefsek. But then again, the Mishnah, Prima Godim, and the Rabbi held, if Chazal said, don't say Amein, it's not a tzarech, it's a gnai. So that's why this question, is it a hefsek b'diavad, is machleit gedali hapaiskim, and again, our feeling always to go with the Mishnah. But Rav Vosna, Kedarkai, has a novel svara, and he saves the day. And he said, he quotes the Shar Ephraim in Klal Dalit, in Shar Dalit. What's the reason why the Balkoira says Amein loudly? It's not to show off his voice. So basically, it's a call, please stop talking, if you're talking, or start listening, because I'm starting to lane. So maybe Amein that's said aloud is a tzarech of the Kriya. So maybe for that reason, the Balkoira does not have to repeat the bracha. But let me just tell you, when a person does Amein on his own bracha, when it's wrong, it's a machlek gedolei hapaiskim if you have to repeat the bracha. Now, next question, when Lamaisa, you do say, when do we say Amein? Lamaisa. So the emes is, you're wondering, well, I'm an Ashkenazi, and I only say Amein to bentching. Why is the rest negated to me? So first of all, it's Torah. Number two, you never know, you might have an Einikel who's a Sfardi. But number three, and that's the real reason, we'll soon see there are many cases that even Ashkenazim do say Amein, as we'll see. Okay? Now, so let's go slowly. First of all, when we say Oyin Amein on certain Ameins, let's say like this, like the Bein Yoinam, on Shemar Yisrael Ad, does that mean that it's a Chiyav, or you're allowed to? Heta or Chiyav? So Rav Moshe in Chelik Hey Siman Tes, he says in a Chiddush Nifla, if I hear someone's bracha, and I just finished a little afterwards, there was a Chiyav Chal when I heard his bracha, and we'll soon see that I have to answer Amein when I finish my bracha. Rav Moshe holds either it's a Chiyav or it's wrong. There's no in between. That's what I saw. Then I saw the Amik bracha, Rabbi Ramchik in Amud Yud of a Sefer. He has a machlokes Rishonim that explains with this shaila: is it a heta or is it a mamash chiyav? Then I saw the Ritva. The Ritva is in Hilchas Brachos, the end of Brachos Vav Beis. The Ritva says it come out clearly. For a Rishon, it's pretty clear. When I hear a regular bracha, I'm chayiv levarich amein. Shulchan Aruch says you chayiv amein. When I make my own bracha and it's an end of a series, mitzvah la'adam levarich to say amein. But what should I tell you? The Shulchan Aruch Tezvav Siv Dalit. He says, you know why the minhag Ashkenaz not to say Amein only to benching? Because the whole thing of Amein on your own bracha is when it's mutter, is at most mutter. Ein zeh chayva ela heta. So therefore, we don't take a chance. So Lamaisa, it seems most places hold it's good to do it. It's Meshubach. So now we have to figure out when are we supposed to say it. So if you look in Shulchan Aruch in Nun Aleph Gimel, one example is after Yishtabach. And Taka Hachenu Asfardim, and Taka, so the Kamana also goes with the Shita, so those that follow the minhag Kamana also say this. We say Mechel Amim, Alamim, Amein. Finish Yishtabach, you say Amein. That's number one. The Shulchan Aruch in Reish Tezvav Asif Aleph by Hallel Mel Mol Batishbachais Amen. Now Baruch She'amar is the same Ksima, but it's different because it's only one bracha. So by Hallel it's a series. Okay. Now the next thing is with all the Rishonim agree, and that is the siyum of Berchas Krishma of Ma'ariv. Ma'ariv has two brachas after Krishma. Gal Yisrael and Shema Yisrael Lo'ad. And all the Rishonim that hold like the Bein Yoinim say that's the perfect place to say Amen. Now, the Yishtebach and the Aruch HaShulchan add who adin on Leil Shabbos HaPoyer Sukkah Shalom because it's not the Nusach, it's the end of the Siyum of the series. Now the big question is minhag of most Bnei Ashkenaz to say the bracha of Yireinu. Maybe now we should replace the Amen to that. So Zok the mitzvah that I mentioned, and also the Mishnah is Mechavan to the Reish Tezvav Hey, you're making a mistake, because the two Gal Yisrael and Hashkiveinu are brachas Krishma. Baruch Hashem La'olam Zok the mitzvah is a new bracha instituted to be a Shemayin Esfer Ketzara for those that came late to shul. So it's not the end of a series. So when you finish Shema Yisrael Lo'ad, you finish the series of Berchas Krishma. Baruch Hashem La'olam is a separate bracha for itself. So that's definitely discounted. What about the first two brachas of Krishma? Hamar v'Ravim and the Oyam Yisrael. Teretz, that's a bracha on the Krishma, and therefore we don't say Amen on that. Fine. Now, Lamaisa, again, this is what the minhag, many Sfardim and some Ashkenazim have this minhag. The sticky issue is in Shachris Gal Yisrael. So there are Rishonim that say beferish Berchas Krishma Shachris Ba'arvis. Gal Yisrael is the conclusion of Berchas Krishma of Shachris. However, there are two major problems saying Amen to Gal Yisrael. First of all, the hefsek ben gula tefillah, and number two, if we assume that Krishma is mafsik between the first two brachas, Yitzim Oyrais and Oyam Yisrael, and then in between that and this Krishma, and then goes Gal Yisrael. So that isolates Gal Yisrael to be only one bracha. So that's why the minhag, I think, across the board is most people do not say Gal on the bracha Gal Yisrael. They don't say Amen. To my knowledge, that's the minhag of Gal Yisrael. But basically, it's all beautiful. It all stems with the original Yisodis. Now the Beis Yosef has a nice Anrichas Ayin Sham. The Ritva that I mentioned is the first that I saw that says this. When someone gets maftir, when he finished the brachas of Torah, the last bracha requires Amen. It's a series of brachas. And that I saw in the Ritva, and I saw in the Birka Yosef says this, the Ben Ishchayim Maseh Yudalad, or Letzion Yudalad Lamed Beis, come to Kaf Chaim Sefer, this Poisik, Reish of Aleph, and he says, but the minhag Sfardim today is not to say that. So I don't know what he's talking about. I saw many Talmidei Chachamim, and that's what we do. That we do Ad Hayom, you finish the Berchas of Torah, and you say Amen. So at least the Sfardim should be saying Amen to Berchas of Torah. How about the Berchas Aliyah? There's a bracha lefaneh and a bracha lachreah. Do we say Amen on that? It's the end of a series. So stay true with B'dav. First of all, the laning is mafsik in between. And also, Lamaisa, the fact is that once you divided it, you left with only one. So the laning is mafsik, and some say B'chlal, it's really two different brachas. But Lamaisa, the Sharatzi and Reish Tezvav Sif Katan Dalid, he says the fact that there's something in between the laning, that is mafsik. Fine. Now, the Ateres Ekanim, it's on the page, Reish Tezvav Aleph, quoting Marshal, wonders why we don't say Amen to Berchas HaTorah. Whether it's two brachas, or maybe even three. Lasoik, Varevna, Ashbach Habon. Why is there no Amen to that, the end? That's mamish a series of two or three. And his teres, I could quote, is V'tzorachiyim. The Safik brachas, he says, Safik brachas lahakol, don't say Amen. So if you have a pshat, I'd love to hear it. Now we come to the last group of questions, probably the most important. And that is, on a daily basis, people have the shaila. If you're davening, you come on time, of course, and you say, Melech Matish Bachais, and just then, the Shat said it. So to say Amein to Melech Matish Bachais, all agree is wrong. That's one bracha, no series, no shaykhs. But do I say Amein because Lamaisa, I want to say it on the Shat? But then again, I just finished simultaneously with the Shat. So do I look at it and say, well, I'm not saying it on myself, I'm saying it on the Shat, which is okay. But then again, I finished. And this is common in Yishtabach. It's very common in Hallel. Everybody likes to say Chazanis with the Shliach Tzibah. It's also Negeya, Bracha, Achroina, when the people are sitting together. Bekitza, when it came out the exact same time. So we should say in Svara that Lamaisa, I'm not saying it on myself, it's not Maguna. However, the Shulchan Aruch gives a different indication. Zokta Mechaber in Nun Aleph Beis, if you finish Baruch She'amar, Koidim Shesayim Achazin, Oina Achrav Amein. In other words, if there's a distinct difference in between you and the shots, then you say Amein. Zokta Mogen Avraham, on this Mechaber, Avum Sayim Im Achatz, Im Achatz Bevachachas, Lo Yana Amein. To have your Oina Amein Acher B'chaysa. In other words, if you finish either, again, Baruch She'amar, Yishtabach, Hallel, do not say Amein together with the shot. Zokter Magen Avraham, if you ask me my feeling, I would say that's not Mikra Oina Amein Acher B'chaysa. I'm saying it on the shots, not on myself. But very interesting. The Zaken Paskin, and I'm not arguing the Zaken. Who is the Zaken? To my knowledge, it's the Bach. Because the Bach, on this halacha that I mentioned, if you finished before the Chazan, then you could say Amen. Zok the Bach, but if you finish with the Chazan, you do not say Amen. So the Magen Avraham really held it's mutter, like we said, because it's not on my own, it's Yenim. But the Bach must have held, got to be honest, you're saying it on your own. Oh, but wait, we're not yet finished. Then Zokti Magen Avraham, and that's Mr. Brewer, and then Aleph Gimel says, quoting Magen Avraham, if you finish together with the shots, don't say Amen. Oh. Then Zokti Magen Avraham, but wait a second. Let's say I finished Yishtabach together with the shots. What's the shayla? We just said we don't do it together, right? So that I'm not giving in. Because here you hear us Ashkenazim, we have Acheinu Asvardim and Gedolei Svara that paskin like Roy Vishainim, they say Amen to an end of a series. Yishtabach is a certified end of the series. So if you finish Yishtabach together with the shots, so you add up the fact that the Ma'aseh Magen Avraham Seichel HaYoshu would be to say it, but we don't, but at least we have the Svara of Yishtabach. So Hallel and Yishtabach with the shots, yes. Baruch She'amar, no. Now let me give you another example. Halacha has become like the Magen Avraham, who relented to the Bach. The Mr. Brewer and Samach Vav Lamed Dalet says, what do we do with Gal Yisrael? By Shachris. Say Amen, don't say Amen. So up to Mr. Brewer, the Eitzah is, say it together with the shot. You might say, but I'm saying Amen, I have to say Amen to the shots. Is Amen, the bracha? There it is, when you say Amen with the shots, you're allowed to rely on them. That's what Mr. Brewer says. We rely on that Yisai, that with the shots is a p'tur, not a chiyuv. Let me ask you another question, okay? Let's say I finished Melech Mehula Bat Tishbachos. I'm a little late. Just then the Shliach Tzibah said, finish Yishtabach. So it's the same timing, but it's different brachas. So what do you do now? So this is not the previous case, because here I'm saying Baruch She'amar, that's not a siyum. I'm saying it together with the shots. So what would the Magen Avraham say? Well, here I have to give in to the Bach. Name. So the Magen Avraham, in that case, also I insist you're supposed to say Amen. Because once there are two brachas that are going on, I'm saying Amen to Yishtabach, not to my Baruch She'amar. Now, Leizachisi Lahavin, how do we see that? Who's right to say that? You're saying Amen simultaneously with your bracha. So obviously the Magen Avraham held that really beside I was right, I'm saying it on the shot. But the Bach Zok, okay, can't argue. But this case, Bach doesn't say differently. So if you say one bracha, together someone said a different bracha, so the Magen Avraham, you're allowed to say Amen. And that's the Chayav Pashit, Mr. Brewer and Sivka and Gimel, says that this is also the Shita of the Bir Hagra. And these things come up on a daily basis. Okay, now let me ask you another question. The shots finished right after I finished. In other words, I said, let's say, Melech Matish Bachas. And just right after that, the Shlich Tzib. It wasn't simultaneous. Do I say Amein or not? So here, the Chayr, we could say, if there was a Toich Dei Dibur after I finished, there's no shot you could say on the shot. Because Toich Dei Dibur, as I told you, Toich Dei Dibur makes it a separation. In this case, it works for our favor. See, if I say Ach Dei Dibur Amein, it's an Amein Yisayim. It's terrible. But let's say I finished my bracha. The shots then finished. If there's any space in between, I could say Amein. Because then, my Amein is exclusively on the Shliach Tzibah. Now, the Maisa, as I told you, the way I understood it, Toich Dibur is less than a second. Now, someone told me, now, it's really 3 seconds. Why? I said, how could that be? Because when you say Shalom Aleichem, Rebbe, you say it very varm. Oh, Shalom Aleichem. That's different nevias. But there's more than that. Tyson Bava Kama in Gimel says, Tyson says, why did they make a shear? Toich Dibur, L'gabi Eidus, you could have Charata Toich Dei Dibur. What's that? Toich Dei Dibur. And what's Toich Dei Dibur? Shalom Aleichem, Rebbe. Tyson says, and Musa Deher. Tyson says, because a person said an Eidus, but he wants to change his mind. But someone greeted him. So which mensch doesn't return greetings? You know, today you say hello. Oh, you must be from out of town. You greet someone, but you greet back. You know, that's like an out of town meisim. But Tyson said you can't not greet someone. So we have to give him a leeway. You have to be able to say, Aleichem Shalom, how you doing? Okay, I'm changing my edus. Not because varm averta. So the Maisa, if I'm wrong, please correct me. But I think the Toich Dibur is very limited, and that's why I'll tell you the next shaila, which is it's a problem, a little of a problem. Let's say I finished, again, close to the Shliach Tzibah. But there's a little space. So I'll wait a half a Kedei Dibur, and then I'll make it, it's already Ach Kedei Dibur. So that's true, it works. If I said it finished first, and he said it like, come out right after me. So I'll wait a half a second, and then I'll add up to make it to Ach Kedei Dibur. So in Svara, that's correct. But the problem is that Lamaisa, how could you synchronize? You're talking about Mamash a second. So basically, if there's a time of Ach Kedei Dibur, let's say Amein Chatchila. And one last shaila, and this is important to mention because it's negay in other situations as well. Let's say a person finished with the shots, and he should not say Amein, but the tzibur is saying a long Amein. Let's say after Halal, Amein, a long Amein, and he wants to say Amein when the tzibur finishes saying Amein and connect with the tzibur. So basically what he's doing is, he's delaying the Zman of Toich Dei Dibur, he's connecting that to the tzibur saying Amein. Does that work? Absolutely. This is a Mechab and Kuf Chav Dal Yud Aleph. When a person says Amein too late, it's not too late. But if it's Toich Dei Dibur of the tzibur saying Amein, I could catch the tail end. The tzibur saying the lesson Nun, and I said, once I started Behetam, I could complete it. Once you start Behetam, you could finish. But the truth is, in Halal, we don't need this Hetam. Because as I told you, Halal, Magen Avraham says, since according to the Rav Shitas, it's a series of brachas, we can say Amein Chatchila, I can talk to you all. Listen.
Shame Egan, you'd like to give a big yeshikayach of this mitzvah today's shir. I'd like to give a big yeshikayach to Mishpachas Ruby for sponsoring today's shir. Le'ili Nishmas Yochanan Baron Bichesko. The Yotzeit was Friday, Yud Sivan. Yochanan Baron Bichesko Ben Yomen. Yochanan Vashon Baron Bichesko Ben Yomen. Almei Vesem Shona. Rabbi said the shir tomorrow will be by Rabbi Tzim Voznish, Shlita from Israel on Inyanik Tfilin. Chananya ben Akashem, Yishboch Lezakis, says Yisrael Figure Him, Tarmid Shenem Al Anay Chofes Amal Tzidkei, Yagdol Terviade, Gadol is Gadol Shmei Rabba, from the Rus Ramon, Fos of Yasam, the Conner Kalam Shita, I can make my little baby so by Golo, my Kalam, Amein, Shmei Rabba, couple houses, she lost his was in most of the memory of Amein. Ali saw the one time there, but some meetings, some of their commandos, and I said, also, then we must have a side. I don't know who some Rabbi in this one, was going to be. Come, wish my Viala, Amein. Sheamar, and Tom Molina, what colors of Amein. There's some very more of Yas Molina, what colors of Amein. Okay, Amein, you can say after the Sikkim, yes.
Let's just chaz up one thing we learned, and this has to be the most important. The Amein is not just a three-letter word. Amein has a powerful meaning. Ein golach nekadosh baruch hu, yosmi Amein. But Lagabi the halacha shabai, Amein is a completion. It's a certification of a bracha, and that's why people are makbid that try to get someone to say Amein to their bracha. But even if you're not makbid, we have to see Amein as a part two. The Zayah calls it the plag of the bracha is the Amein, and that's why we understood that the Shemeya should try to hear the Shemeya when he hears a bracha and he's Yoyt Shemeya Kohen, he should say Amein, and even the Mevarech should listen to the Amein so he gets a credit for the Amein. And we also explained there are two types of brachas. There's a brachas of Haidah and Yeshtebach, and that the Amein is, it's true and I believe in it, that's a certification. A brachas Tefillah, Shmai Nesra, is both. It's Amein, I believe it, and also Halavai. The severity of Apostle Amein, Amein Yisayma, and the like, is because Amein is so powerful. If it's unwarranted, it certainly turns sour, and it becomes almost like a bracha levatala is Amein levatala. The three reasons why Amein on one's own bracha is Meguna. One reason is hefsek. One reason is because you're not finished yet, and one reason is it's inappropriate miderech hamusa to certify your own statement. And this explains why, according to the Ashkenazim, according to the Sfardim, there are many situations you ought to say Amein, as long as it's a series of two or more brachas, the end of a series of two or more brachas. The Ramah holds only on Birchas HaMazim because it's the Deraisa versus the Rabbanan, but the Ramah probably went with the sheet of the Goyin and the Levush, that it's a Gnai. Levush, the Talmud Ramah, don't forget, it's a Gnai to say Amein to your own bracha. So therefore, it leaves us only with the Amein to Bone Yerushalayim. Birchas HaMazon has two reasons why we B'chlal say Amein, either because it's the end of a series, or to mafsek in the Deraisa and the Rabbanan. This explains why when you say the bracha, Bone Yerushalayim, pause, and then Amein, don't wait too long, of course. And also, the minhag is saying it loud is because today we are not worried about the zilzul, but Sfardim and some Ashkenazim still say it quietly. If you have a zimun, so you say two Ameins on Bone Yerushalayim, one on your own, and later when the Mezamin finishes that bracha. The Hezbah, why the Mavarach is allowed to be Chavan to be Yoitza Amein, we said is because Lamaisa, he's not saying it, so it's not a Gnai. The Shemeya must say Amein to complete his bracha. A Balkar that said Amein to his own bracha, but the Ebed is not a hefsek. It's a big machlokes, a poiskim, I'll leave it at that. If a regular Shaka Yivari Amein, does he have to repeat the bracha or not? A number of situations we saw Shmai Nesra, Yishtabach, Ma'ir Shema Misolad, and Shabbos Ma'ir also Hallel. The minhag by Aboicha is not to say Amein, like most Shitas, Gal Yisrael, the minhag is not to say Amein any longer. Haftarah bracha, we do say Amein. When I mentioned Birchas HaTorah is a suffix, someone pointed out correctly, the suffix is Tali. If Birchas HaTorah is a Birchas HaMitzvah, then you can't say Amein to your own bracha als a hefsek. But if it's Birchas Haidah, that's probably the suffix of the Marshal. When you finish together with the Shliach Tzibur, or any person for that matter, I kept saying Shliach Tzibur, with any person, you don't say Amein unless either it's a Amein that Sfardim do say, or it's two different brachas. The Shatz says finish right after you, and you can make it Achkadei Diba, you could say Amein, and if the Tzibur is still saying Amein, then the Amein continues, and Terech Diba starts by then. Shkoyach you. Super